A warm welcome along, everybody, to the Big Five Racing Podcast for another week of all things talking National Hunt Racing. The countdown continues to the Spring Festivals, which kick off next week in Dublin. Before that, we've got a right little treat for you this week. One of my favourite meetings of the entire season. It is, of course, Trials Day right here in the lovely town of Cheltenham. We've got the best of the well-balanced and great betting card for you. And on that betting card, Cotty, yes, we're going to go into this weekend at Cheltenham with a couple of, variances of twos-on shots. Sir Gino, Great Dawning. We're going to, of course, go through all of those. And they are going to be a bit tricky to navigate around. But equally, I do think there's quite a lot of money to be made. We've got wide-open handicaps, the rescheduled cross-country. It's an 8-race card. It's bumper racing at Cheltenham. I can't wait.
No, yeah, really looking forward to it. I was at Ascot on Saturday, and it's probably the most unluckiest days punting I can remember I've had. So hopefully
Did you
the
back
luck will
Ilite Tom
change.
at the weekend? I forgot to ask.
Yes, I did four doubles on Saturday. Each of the first leg came in on all four doubles, and I didn't get a double up. So yeah, it was pretty tough punting on Saturday. The worst thing is I tried to get value going on to Ilite Tomps, for example. So I doubled that with Vincenzo. So you got the 6-4 shot in, but you couldn't get the 2-5 shot in. That was kind of really the story of the day. But no, never write off John Bon. The king has returned, and it's all roads lead to Cheltenham to see if he can get that festival win. I think it will still be a tough ask, but no, that was a joy to watch on Saturday to see really put his head down and show how much he still loves the game at the age of 10. But I think the most impressive victory for me on Saturday at Ascot anyway was the Jeremy Scott horse in the handicap hurdle called Came From Nowhere. Travelled really nicely, and I think probably a mile out you could have called the winner.
Yeah.
Worn down Triple flyer, and didn't break sweat, didn't come off the bridle, and I was looking at the markets for Cheltenham, and it's sixth favourite for the Coral Cup, 20-1. I know I put up Nurse Susan for that last week, but at the end of this podcast, I will be taking a bit of that 20-1, and I was really taken by that on Saturday at Ascot. So yeah, a good weekend's racing. Plenty of highlights. Old Park Star winning by 18 lengths and halved in odds for the Supreme. That was very impressive. Nice to get another nap in. But yeah, money wise, the weekend not so great, but some very nice horses on display.
That's 8 straight naps as well for Cotty, getting Old Park Star, who was fantastic up at Haydock there. And a nice little start to the podcast there with a Coral Cup tip for you all as well. Don't say we don't treat you on these podcasts. Matty, lovely to see you as well after what was indescribably a dross weekend of soccer. We can put that aside, thankfully, ahead of what is a fantastic weekend's racing. Bunch of superstars out on show at Cheltenham. Great Dawning is back for the Cotswolds, and I'm very sure that's going to be the peak of your interest.
Yeah, we won't mention football, I don't think, this week. Ruined the weekend, sadly. But on to Cheltenham. A very good card. I thought perhaps the Cleeve and the Cotswold might be a bit, stronger renewals, but I think, we're spoilt with the clash of the New Lion and Sir Gino. I think the Triumph Trial looks a good race. A lot of nice horses there, and I think that's going to give us that will be the biggest clue with regards to the festival, I think. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a race to be interested in. Obviously Great Dawning, be superb to see him back out. Looks like he should have a fantastic chance. I think it'd be a big disappointment if he was to get beat on Saturday, and whether that would put doubts in the Gold Cup, I'm not sure. I mean, the trip will be fine. The courses are not a problem to him, and the ground looks like it's going to have a bit of juice in, so I can't see any negatives towards him. And it's not the strongest field in the world. I thought maybe Haiti Couleur might have turned up here, although he beat him well in the Betfair Chase. Other than that, it looks like he should be winning this, especially if he wants to go and run in a Gold Cup at the start of March.
Yeah, ground conditions currently listed as good to soft, but I've literally just gone out for a coffee for 5 minutes and I've come back hypothermic, so it's cold, it's drizzly, it's not the best weather here at the minute, so we could probably, hopefully, get our first soft to heavy meeting of the season up the hill. Quickly, before we get into our Cheltenham races, the week that was, there was plenty of good racing. Of course, the Winter Millions took place from Windsor and Ascot. We were up in Haydock for graded action, where All Park Star looked fantastic. I'll keep it with you here, actually, Matty, first. If there was anything that kind of bleached socks off, shall we say. The thing is, when we do this section at the start of the year, how much that actually impacts horses that are going to win at the festival is very difficult to tell. But now we've got these horses coming out in graded races, big handicaps, and the picture now is starting to become very clear. And surely something out of the weekend that just happened is going to win at the festival.
Yeah, I thought the winner of the first race at Ascot, Winston Jr. for Faye Bramley and Harry Cobden, was very impressive. It's not very often you see juveniles do that. Obviously, he ran very well on his previous start. He was behind the Adam Nicol horse, who's, I forget the name of it now, but he's very high in the market for the Triumph. Came from nowhere that day as well and powered up the hill. I think you'd imagine you'll see this horse in the Boodles. I think he might already be 6-1 favourite now. It's not a price I'd be taking about that kind of race. I think it's the biggest lottery of the festival, to be honest. The Boodles, you've got 20 odd 4-year-olds coming in there with a handful of runs. They're all open to improvement, so it wouldn't be a bet for me, but I just thought it was very taking performance to see a youngster do that. And Faye Bramley, obviously she's just getting up and running, and she obviously had Glenn Gooley win the feature at Cheltenham a couple of meetings ago. Nice to see her probably go to the festival with a few live chances. So that was the one performance that caught my eye. I'm sure there's a few more from you too.
Yeah, you've already given us Came From Nowhere, the Jeremy Scott horse, as well as John Bond. Was there anything else that caught your eye over the weekend?
Yeah, pretty blown away by the winner up at Haydock, Old Park Star. It was interesting to see Nico de Boinville after the race said that if anything was going to catch the horse out, it would have been the track at Haydock, nice and tight track. But no, he's really, really gone clear, hasn't he? As I thought he would do. Hurricane Pat kind of looks a bit of a threat coming round the home bend, but I was on the favourite.
He will win races, that Hurricane Pat. I'm very convinced of that, but I just think at the very top level he might not cut it.
Yeah, he probably wants it a bit softer. He blew his rivals apart at Sandown. He'd probably be best suited to a bit more than good to soft, as the going description was. But I think he's 9-4 favourite now for the Supreme. Old Park Star, I was impressed, but I wouldn't be having a good go on the 9-4. I'd probably wait to the Dublin Racing Festival in a couple of weeks, and if nothing comes out of that impressively, then that 9-4 could go to 7-4. But as soon as a race finishes, they always get cut to the shortest possible price, I think. If a star wins really nicely at Leopardstown, then your 9-4 is going to go to 11-4 when really his work at Haydock, is not going to be less impressive because of a horse winning in Leopardstown. So no, I'd probably wait on the 9-4, but that was very, very impressive, and probably performance of the weekend, you could say.
I'd have to agree. I was really, really impressed the way that Nico never looked like he was asking the horse to do anything in particular, to be fair. How strong that race is, time's going to tell, but from what we've seen visually, I thought that was probably the most impressive. The only other one I kind of wanted to just jump in there was Salver, who won the Hampton Novice race that we covered on the podcast last week as the eventual favourite. There's a lot of grit about this horse, because there was plenty of times coming up that straight. His jumping was fine, but he was really having to sort of give a real full account of himself, I thought, the entire way through. And there's a good grit to this horse, and I don't really know where the main target lies for him. If it's 2.5 miles, 3 miles, it's kind of in the balance at the minute. There might be a good race to pick up. Wouldn't hate to see him maybe even go for the Manifesto, to be fair. At Aintree in the spring, but he was just one I think I'm going to keep on side of. He's a very gritty horse, and there was a lot to like about that performance. But I think you both had good ones there. But for me, All Park Star probably was the best we've seen from the week. Let's get into then Trials Day from Cheltenham. Well, there is simply nothing I like better doing on this podcast than talking about two things, racing and Cheltenham. Fortunately, and for the final time before the festival, we get to do both of those compacted into one podcast. We're going to take you through 5 selected races. We've got a couple of handicaps, as well as we've got the Cleeve Hurdle, the brilliant Unibet International Hurdle. There is just great racing all around this weekend, anywhere you look. 8 races on the card as well. Get your play spots built, and hopefully we can all manage to land a Goliath or 2 at the weekend. We do start with the first race with the 12:05. This has now been rescheduled, the card. That's the Timeform Novices Handicap Chase. Goes over 2.5 miles as a Class 2 event, with a 9-2 the field market. So if you manage to find the winner in this one, Matty, you are off to a belter, really, aren't you? Jordan's Cross, the favourite there for Anthony Honeyball, Sam Twist and Davis. Decked it at the last when he was here at the November meeting. Has won since. But you're kind of free to go where you like with this one, I feel.
No, I actually quite like one in this race, to be honest. I mean, obviously, Anthony Honeyball seems to hold the key. Obviously, he's got the top 2 of the top 3 in the market, and he does do very well when he targets these handicap chases. Notably, he won one at Wincanton at the start of the season with Credo, I believe. Or maybe it was his other one. Anyway, I quite like Push the Button here for Mark Walford. Northern trainer, sending one down to Cheltenham. I don't feel like they tend to do that unless they think they've got a real good chance. Mm-hmm. This horse has bumped into 2 very smart horses on his last 2 starts. First one was he got off to a winning start this season, winning around Carlisle, winning nicely on his first start. Then he was beaten by Meet Me by the Sea, a very nice horse of Ben Paulins, JP McManus, who I believe is targeting the novice handicap chase at the festival. I think he's a right chance in that as well. And then the next run after that for Push the Button was behind Steel Ally, around Ascot in a very good novice chase. So I think that form is rock solid. I think he's purely 8-1 because of connections. I think if this is a bigger trainer and a bigger jockey booking, I think you're looking at potentially probably favourite in my eyes, to be honest. Plenty of experience, which will count around Cheltenham, stays the trip well, ticks plenty of boxes for me. So yeah, Push the Button 8-1 each way for me.
Yeah, really consistent throughout the season, never out of the top 2 for the 7-year-old. Jamie Hamilton will take the ride there up from, like you said, the north of England. Cotty, I like with these handicaps that there's various angles, really. I suppose you've got plenty of Irish contenders that come over for this because the pots are of decent size. Jigginstan have entered 3. Robcore have got one in there. I don't know what's going to turn up out of all of that lot, but there's plenty of good English contingent here. I couldn't even really guess where you were going to go with this.
I couldn't have said it any better myself from what Matt has just said, to be quite frank. I think he's hit the nail on the head. It's bumped into a couple of horses, was second at Ascot. The third that day was no questions asked. That's come out and beat Be Aware over the weekend in a grade 2, I believe. So yeah, that's Frank the form. Was also second to Meet Me by the Sea. That Matty's also said that's come out at Air and beat a good horse of Ollie Murphy's Fingal Bridge. So the form's really stacking up, and Matty, I couldn't agree more with Matty about the connections as well. Mark Walford or Cheltenham, he wouldn't, bit of chalk and cheese that is. If that was, Willie Mullins and Paul Townend, then I think you'd be seeing 3-1, not 8-1. So no, this could. If I wasn't on 8 in a row, I'd probably nap this for the week.
There you go then. Put some respect on Mark Walford's name is what I'm hearing from you two. Push the Button, double tipped up there at 8-1. Should be a lot shorter, maybe will be by the time Cotty gets stuck in on Saturday. I put 2 up in this, and I'll start with the one that I don't think is going to run. Jacob's Ladder came out of a race with Cappinger Pike there a couple of weeks ago. Both of them ran down the eventual third. A fantastic race there at Punchestown. I thought that was a really good run. He's been consistent this year. There was a good win at Fairy House. There was a second at Nace. He's been busy. That's the only reason I don't think he might go here, is because he's got an entry next week in the well, I don't know what it's called, but there's a similar handicap at the Dublin Racing Festival, and Jigginstown are a bit light at the minute with their handicappers, so I don't know whether he'll go here. If he does, get me stuck in. I've had a little bit of 12-1 just on the off chance, because if he goes, he's favourite and he wins. Simple as. The other horse that I wanted to put up there was Jordan's Cross, who I've done a couple of times now this season, but I just don't seem to be catching him on the right days. He won last time out very nicely, but I was on him in the November meet, and he decked it at the last, like I mentioned there at the very start, and he probably had a decent chance of clearing that last fence and going on to win. I think, again, there's a reasonable chance off his mark here. He's 11 stone 4. Matty was absolutely on the ball. When Anthony Honeyball sends a couple into a race, he is probably one of the best target trainers in the UK. I really like when he sort of flurries his horses out. Sam Twiston-Davies takes the ride for this. We know how deadly he can be as a jockey. Yeah, you're buying in 92's a bit skinny, but this is a bit of a wide open affair. I quite like this horse. If he replicates what he did Doncaster a couple of weeks ago, he should be there or thereabouts, hopefully. And then Jacob's Ladder, if he was to turn up here, would be my main selection in the race. 12:40, skip one over on your racing post then for this one. We've got the JCB Triumph Trial Juvenile Hurdle. That's a grade 2 event over 2 miles and change. Matty said this was probably the race that's going to give us the best idea, and you probably said that, Matty, because we haven't really seen a good contingent of Irish juveniles yet. There is 2 races at the DRF to come up, and there's another one at Punchestown before the festival, but this is likely to give us our best clues, and there is a certain Harry Skelton who would be loving to take the Triumph, wouldn't he, at the festival? That would be huge for his pockets. Maestro Conti is 2 from 2 this season, 13-8. His brother will take the ride, and you like him?
I think he's obviously a very good horse and brings a lot of potential forward. I just think he's skinny enough at 13-8. I think Cotty mentioned it might have even gone into 11-10 in some places. It's way too short for a juvenile. For me, I just think, if this horse is targeting the Triumph, it's vital to see how he gets on with the track and stuff, but I just think it's way too short for me. I think I'll take him on with the Nichols horse, which I haven't been saying it too often this season, taking on Dan Skelton with a Paul Nichols horse, but I think this Manila Yoga could be a very nice horse to do what he done on Hurdle's debut, beating Active Innocence, who's favourite in the last race at Cheltenham, and comments from connections of that horse are very confident that'll go and win, and you'd imagine it'll go on to the Turners at the festival. He was in receipt of a lot of weight, Manila Yoga, from Active Innocence at Newbury, but I just think for putting a performance like that against a very good horse, first time ever hurdles, was quite taken for a 4-year-old. So I just think he's going to hopefully come. He might even progress and improve for that run slightly, but he looks very, very professional. And I think at 3-1, he's a better bet than an 11-10 favourite.
He has been really consistent in his 2 runs this season. I quite like what I've seen from him as well. Manila Yoga there for you, Nichols, to try and get one against his old friend Dan. I think I've probably botched my selection here a little bit. I did this morning. And I had Manlaga up there at 5-1. He's gone out to 10-1 with 365, and a couple of other books have got him at 8. And it's now making me think he's probably not going to run. Henderson has got another one in the race. This is a new recruit for Nicky and JP McManus. He's only ran once. I rewatched that O2 race earlier today, and I was just very impressed. I think from what I seen, he was slick over his hurdles. He was very hard held throughout. His French jockey, I think it's Ludovic Pepperon. He took it well up and he fired on very nicely. Anytime JP does a shopping in France, it's something I'll always kind of take good steed with. A little bit annoyed at the prices. I might just take a crack at 10-1 now, because I don't know why that drift has happened. Unfortunately, if he doesn't go, I was probably leaning more towards the favourite than I was at Maestro Conti. Good money for him already. 2 starts, 2 wins, 1 overrules. Kempton, very nice, 8-13, was short on the day, but he looked every bit the favourite in that regard. So if my horse doesn't go, I'd probably slide towards Maestro Conti, but I found this a difficult one to have one of my main bets on the day from. Cotty, this favourite, to be fair, 5-2, 9-4, 15-8, now 13-8, 11-10 with some books. Money's talking for Skeleton. Usually that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, not too sure how to play this race. Obviously, it was very impressive at Campton last time out, but you know, should have been really should have won the race the way he did. There wasn't much depth to the race, and then you look at Manila Yoga getting bundles and bundles of weight to Active Innocent, which was talked about being a supreme horse. Did it nicely enough that day. Was um, carefully ridden, shall we say. Um, the one that interests me here is Feel Gut for Henderson and Donnelly's last week on the podcast of Up in the Ante. Johnny Deneen said, who's close friends with the Donnellys, they said to Johnny that this horse would win. It was a non-runner that day because it's scoped wrong. I'm not too sure uh, the meaning behind that, and if it's a big issue or not, and whether that means he won't run on Saturday. I don't know if that's enough time to recover, but
He's
it's a
also he's also entered in a race at Warwick on Friday. I noticed there.
yeah. I'd imagine they'd probably want to come here and
Yeah.
test the horse's ability. Its run in France was 5 lengths behind the winner, Macho Man, who the Donnellys also brought that run at Fairy House last week. Was only beaten 3 lengths behind Pro Catif, that's also trained by Mullins. Those pair pulled well clear. That was a nice enough debut. I also find, like you said about trainers and owners shopping in France for these type of horses. The fourth horse that day, 40-50. Sorry, the fifth horse has been brought by Willie Mullins as well for the same owners as Nick Rocket. Their strike rate with buying horses to winners is also very high. So a lot of people have obviously thought that French race was a race worth picking a few out of. So that would be one selection, but then one further down the list, Tenter Litoot for the Chester Williams stable, won a Grade 2 last time out at Chepstow and won very nicely. We'll get the fillies allowance as well. Gavin Sheehan was on last day. He gets the ride today. Was on good to soft. Looks like that'll be the conditions for Saturday. I thought that was slightly overpriced at 14-1. So no, there's two plays there at each way prices. If one of those hit the frame, then you're not gonna go too far wrong.
Yeah, Tontella 2 there at the bottom of the market from yourself there. Chester Williams will take that one to Cheltenham with him at 14-1. I just think this is a difficult triumph to play. I feel like you'll reflect after the race in the grander picture. We're not going to have a sort of Lulamba, I can't remember the name of that other horse that he took on last year. We're not going to have a kind of battle in that sense yet. But what we'll learn this week and then next week in France is going to be, France in Dublin is going to be very, very telling, I think. But a couple of plays for you there in the Triumph, if that's your cup of tea. Tell you what's my cup of tea, the 115. We've got the Betfair Exchange Handicap Chase, 2.5 miles. We have a very short price favourite in this one. I suppose Marmite, isn't he, Jaguar? You either love or hate this horse. You don't know if he's going to turn up. You don't know if he's trying. But if you do think he's going to be doing both of those, he's 7-4. Following on from a win in, was it the Plate last year, I believe, 7-4 there. Booster Bob 4-1, 7-1 bar the rest of the field. Good handicap this, Matty. Plenty of horses that we see run around this little field in Cheltenham quite often, all sort of getting their prep marks, whether they're going to go down an Ultima route, the Plate route. You kind of, you've got to figure that out in 8 weeks' time. At the minute, you're just trying to figure out what's going to win here. I don't get the impression that you're going to buy into Jaguar here at 7-4.
No, not for me. You just, fortunately, with connections, it's hard to guess what's going on. I thought the Plate would obviously be the aim again for this horse. I mean, if he wins here, he's going to take another hike in the weights to take him into the 150s. I can't see him winning a plate. That'd be a big ask. Also, he's not going to go to the Ryanair because it looks like John Bond's going to go that way. Factor File will go that way. So unless they think he's a Gold Cup horse, which if he goes and bolts up off 149 in this, I mean, he's going to have to. He can't run another handicap. So
but he's got no chance in a Gold Cup.
Well, if he brushes his jumping up, he's a very talented horse, but I can't bank on him doing that. I mean, maybe this time next year when Harry Cobden takes this sort of ride, I'd potentially be more persuaded. But no, I'll take him on. I think the second favourite, Booster Bob, very consistent. Obviously, got given one of the greatest rides ever last season at Newbury by Sean Bowen, was tailed off and managed to get up. But his performance at Newbury last time, stepping up in trip, was a lot more professional. Beat a few nice horses in behind him that day. And potentially maybe he's just, growing up a bit, grasping how to race more efficiently. And yeah, I think Ollie Murphy's had a fantastic season. We've spoke plenty about Sean Bowen, so we need to say any more about him. And I just thought he brought a bit of something different into this race. He's not won round Cheltenham before. I think he's actually ran round Cheltenham before. But that's the question mark. But when he's been winning races at Newbury, he's been competitive at Aintree. Hopefully, he can bring that form into Cheltenham. And yeah, I'll go with Booster Bob.
The aptly named Booster Bob gets £8 off Jaguar at the top there, 4-1. Like you mentioned, there, Sean Bowen was brilliant on this horse last time out. Cotty, I'm a little bit more unsure whether you kind of buy into the idea that Jaguar 7-4 should be as short as he is, and whether he's going to go off this short. But he's been the model of consistency, really. His last, I think, 6 or 7 runs, never outside the top 3. But you've got to buy in, haven't you, to mark protection, and whether this is his big day out or he's saving it for March. I mean, this is still a pretty good pot to pick up for JP McManus. Where are you leaning for the handicap?
Yeah, no, I think Matty talks some sense there about the mark, but I think the race he missed was the ultimate. Could have a fair enough chance in an ultimate, even if he was to win on Saturday, like you said. I mean, you can protect marks and for the festival, and everyone wants to win on the festivals, but this race is 57 grand to the winner. He was third last.
That's probably about half an ultimate, really, isn't it? 57 grand.
Yeah, probably a bit more than half, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. Was third the last day over course and distance. The second, Vincenzo, won a nice pot at Ascot on Saturday. I don't think he was beat a length and 3/4 the last time at Cheltenham. I think if things went completely his way, then he would have won. This field is pretty poor, I think, for a 57 grand race. The winner, that's going to be an overall pot of 100 grand, you'd have to say. Triple Trade has got a mark of 131. I'd imagine that's way too high for him now. He always runs a good race at Cheltenham, but I'd imagine he'll find a couple too good on Saturday. I think 7-4 is a fair enough price for me. Booster Bob.
This is scratching your brain. I can see the clogs going. I mean, this must be quite a bit of a puzzle because we've got such a short price favourite in, like you said, they're a bit of a mediocre race.
Yeah, he just seems to, he's done his last 2 races. He's done his winning round Newbury, and I just think, flat track will Cheltenham really suit that horse? Is there a reason why? A horse of this nature hasn't been round Cheltenham before. He's stuck to Aintree, left-handed, flat. I just have a slight question mark. He won the last day off 132. He's gone at £9 for that.
That's a lot.
It's a big ask for me.
Did win very impressively.
He deserved his £9.
A very good horse as well. I think Ben Paul actually thinks a lot of that.
No,
I think £9 was actually fair.
Yeah, but then that got beat 24 lengths by Lookaway round round Kempton the other week. I think 5 raced. He came second of three that finished. So no, I mean, trainers can think a lot of their horses, but I'd rather see them go and do it and then say they think a lot of it rather than clinging on to hope or what they've been shown at home more than anything. So I'd probably say Jaguar is probably the play here at 7-4, and one of the favourites where you can kind of get stuck into and get rewarded, I guess, instead of later on in the card when you're back in 1 to 2 shots when you've really got to put the dough down really to see anything substantial in your pocket.
I've got no issue with that. Jaguar, I can understand why people would be on him. It's one of them, like, if it wins by 20 because it was trying, you think, fuck's sakes, why was I not on that at 7-4? So I'm kind of on the blended angle where
Christ, if it wins by 20 lengths, it'll be favourite for the Gold Cup.
He's not winning a fucking. He's 149.
If it wins that by 20, if it wins that race by 20 lengths, that will be in the top 5 for the Gold Cup.
Lay the bollocks off it if it ever went to a Gold Cup. Jaguar there for Cotty. It was a bit annoying this because he's kind of doo-dooed both of ours there. He was talking about Booster Bob, maybe a bit overrated in the market, and had a crack at 10-year-old Triple Trade, which is the problem of backing a 10-year-old. Yeah, I get that, but Cotty nailed it. He always runs a good race at Cheltenham, and those kind of horses, it was like Matassa a couple of weeks ago at the New Year's meeting. I thought he was always going to have his day. Triple J probably deserves his as well. Ran a fair third at the Christmas meeting. That was over an inadequate 2 miles as well. He's back to 2-4 here. And he was at Sandown there just after the New Year's as well, and he won a very good battle with the Skelton horse. Jet Plane, was it? And I think that's a very talented horse as well. So he's only gone back up £3. I know with these 10-year-olds, they floated. He's been up in the high 140s, down in the low 120s. He's off 131 here, which puts him at 10 stone 3. I'm getting, a stone 4 off Jaguar. That's a lot of weight around Cheltenham. I've buried on about this podcast after podcast, but high weights at Cheltenham's not something I'd like particularly taken unless I'm on a good one. Never really been convinced by Jaguar. Maybe he is a good Gold Cup horse in time to come, but for me, I just think he's he's easily capable of winning this race, but I don't know. I never get good vibes off Jaguar, so I'm going to crack Triple Trade there at 10-1, but again, this wasn't something I had too strong of a play in. We're going to fast track you through then to the 2 Grade 1s at the back end of this absolutely stacked card. That takes us firstly to, I mean, I dare say this could turn out to be one of the races of 2026 just a couple of weeks into it, but the 3 o'clock is the Unibet International Hurdle. It's a Grade 2. I don't know why it's a Grade 2. It's 2 miles and a furlong. 2 very sort of obvious contenders here from 6 in the field. Sir Gino, who was brilliant in the Christmas Hurdle, gets his second run of the season here as the 1-2 favourite for Nicky Henderson, Nico de Boinville, and the Donnellys. He'll take on the New Lion, the winner of the Turners last year, who fell in that utterly dramatic renewal of the Fighting Fifth at the start of the year. Is 2-1 to try and get ahead of Sir Gino, and then we're on to Poneros, who won the Triumph last year, is 12-1 on his first run of the season. Cotty, I need your analysis on this, I feel. Sir Gino was a horse that we talked about when he came back at Christmas to win the hurdle there at Kempton. Did so in a fashion where he blew very hard after the final hurdle, was wandering about, and you kind of got to the end of that race thinking he won it by 7 or 8 lengths, and you thought, there's still so much more to come out of this horse. He's undefeated. He's got the potential to be the superstar of National Hunt Racing, and is 1-2 a fair price for him to win the International here?
I think so, because after watching his run at Christmas, I definitely thought that, he's won that so impressively, but there's going to be so much more to come in his next run. And then you've also got to factor in the New Lions coming here after the back of a fall, which raises, always going to raise a question mark. The other situation I have here is I don't think there's going to be much pace in the race. I know Harry Skelton, and a lot of people have said that, you'd be very surprised to see the New Line make the running again.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not going to want to. Skelton won't want this race to be a dawdle. He's going to want an end-to-end gallop, I'd say. So he might end up having to make the running again. And the New Lion foul last time out had a look at the one down the back at Newcastle, and if you're doing that at Newcastle, I'd say Cheltenham would be more off-putting than Newcastle. So I do have some slight question marks about the new Lion. We've been promised good races and good races and good races over the 2 mile circuit over hurdles in the last 12 months, and there's always been a fall in the race that has damaged what could have been. So the perfect outcome for me would Sir Gino and the new Lion ping every hurdle. Nico jumps the last upsides, Harry Scouten, and goes clear and wins by 8-10 lengths. I have got a few anti-posts on Sir Gino at 13-8 and 15-8 and so on. So hopefully he can put his market rival, the new Lion, to one side on Saturday, and then we'll probably see our first odds-on favourite of the festival locked in.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way the market's going to go if Sir Gino's too good here. Talking about the new Lion then, Matty, so a lot of talk about this horse coming into the season. I think he opened up as the anti-post favourite for the Champion Hurdle alongside State Man Conhill, and that's obviously that market's reciprocated very badly. So we've got the new Lion coming here, back again over 2 miles and a furlong after that fall in the fighting fifth, and obviously the tactics, like Cotty said, they are going to be different this day because he was hoping Cornhill would take him into the fighting fifth, fell the second, so there was nothing he could do about that. There isn't a deadly amount of pace on here. I wouldn't be too shocked to see Sir Gino probably try and make the run in here and just best horse off the front win it. But from the new Lion's perspective, if he is going to be a perennial champion hurdle contender, this is a much bigger opportunity for him than it is Sir Gino, because he's got to really prove himself that he's fast enough over 2 miles, which people have doubts about, and that he's good enough to take on these good horses. In essence of £3 as well off Sir Gino, maybe that makes a difference in a grade 2, who knows? But where are your what's your stance really on him in this heads up?
For me, I think Sir Gino's is, I'm going to call him a good thing, because 1 to 2, I don't think anything's a good thing at 1 to 2, but I can't really see him being beaten here, to be honest. I mean, I completely agree with what Cotty's saying about the tactics. I think Sir Gino will make the run in, but I imagine Nico might be pretty. Actually, it's hard to say. There's me thinking that he might make out and go steady, but I actually think Nico will bounce out confident, go a good gallop, and just ride him like he is the best horse in the race. And if the new Lion's good enough, then he'll have a chance. He'll have something to aim at. I wouldn't worry too much. Cotty was saying about him looking round at Cheltenham. I wouldn't worry about that. He knows his way around Cheltenham. I think it's a much more galloping track than Newcastle. Newcastle is actually sharper than I think a lot of people think. But yeah, I think Sir Gino wins here. I think he goes odds on, and for the champion hurdle, he'll probably go in a football. He'll probably go in a football acca or a couple of multiples over the weekend. I just think he's a special horse to be able to revert back to hurdling after going chasing, after the difficulties he's had with setbacks, etc. And he looked like he was as good as ever at Kempton. I mean, he was ripping Nico's arms out for the first mile of the race, still finished hard on the bridle. I just think he could be a really, really special horse, and hope that he takes this in his stride and onto the champion hurdle.
Patrick, I mean, sometimes I do like to be a bit niche and take on those kind of favourites, but I mean, this horse, there's so much excitement around him. He's constantly improving. He's still unbeaten. Cotty said right afterwards from Kempton that the blow he'd taken for being off so long was something to kind of take an eye on, that he was going to just gradually, as this season goes on, we might not even see the best version of Sir Gino for another 8 weeks, but how good he'll need to be here to beat the new Lion, I don't really know. This horse has got a huge glass ceiling and it could smash it any minute, really. With the new Lion, I'm not saying he's reached his limitations by any stretch. I just don't think he's a fast 2-miler. I'm one of those in that campaign where people have said, no, he's a 2-miler. And it's unfortunate there isn't a 2.5 mile grade 1, because an open grade 1 at the festival, because that would be more built for him. But I just think if we're talking about raw, hard 2-mile pace here, If De Boinville goes out, makes the 2 miles on him, I can't really see anything getting near him personally. I mean, you look at the other three horses in the race. Brentford Hope ran Saturday, didn't he, at Haydock, so he won't go. Nemean Lion, I think this is just fear factor from the Golden Ace effect. I looked at Nemean Lion and I thought 66 to 1 is a fucking unbelievable price. If you think that there's more shocks to come in this division, I was thinking, how could this horse be 66 to 1? Didn't make any sense to me. So I thought, if I've got £2 left in my pocket by this race, I might just stick it each way on him, you know. There's no reason. He ran a very good race in the fight in fifth. Really consistent tie for Kerry Lee. Poneros I don't give any chance. I'm surprised Willie's even sending it over, to be fair. But Sir Gino should be winning this, really, shouldn't he? And hopefully I can put an end to my really bad snap at Cheltenham this year. It's getting to the stage where I just think if I back every favourite, one of them's got to win eventually. Because it's not been a good season for me up the hill. But Sir Gino for us should just be way too good in the international hurdle. Final race then from Cheltenham we're going to take you through is one of my favourite races of the year. It's the Pretemps Network Cleeve Hurdle. It's a grade 2 over 3 miles. Acts, of course, as a trial race. Who'd have thought with the name that's in it? For the stayers in a couple of weeks' time. We've got another pretty strong favourite here in the JP McManus Silks. That is Impose Trois. For Nicky Henderson at 11 to 8 is chasing a 4-timer and is looking to be in the top 2 for the fifth of 5 runs this season. Theleme's back from an 805-day layoff at 3 to 1 coming over from France. Strong leaders, 5 to 1. Big prices about the rest in the field. Back to yourself then, Cotty, for another short price favourite here in Impose Trois, who's just looked rock solid this season. Really good contender for the 3-mile division. That I wouldn't say is that open at the minute because the Irish horses are very good. We've talked a lot on this podcast about Tia Hoopu, Bob Ollinger. There's others in there as well that could come, you know, it's a bit of an older division, but there's plenty of good 3-milers. I don't know if any of these are going to challenge in 8 weeks' time, but are you keen enough on this Hendo favourite?
Yeah, I just can't believe Henderson is running such a good horse so many times in one season, to be honest. I didn't think that this would be the plan after the long walk. You know, Henderson likes to protect his good horses and run them as little as possible. And then you got the factor of Nico de Boinville not trying to cock up twice in one day. So, yeah, it kind of looks good at 11 to 8. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend I know French racing because I don't. But 805 days and then to be 3 to 1 in a race of this nature is baffling to me. But someone somewhere obviously likes it because it opened at 4 to 1. I don't think I could back any horse in any race at 3 to 1 after not running for 805 days. But you know, horses can do it. Strong leader doesn't like Cheltenham, does it? I think Ollie Murphy has said that, so I couldn't have that at 5 to 1. Marchand 2, Emma Laval seems to be in decent enough form at the minute. Probably the best horses have been running in a while. This horse absolutely loves Cheltenham. I mean, the twice it's run this season, it's won both times. One off a mark of 129. One on New Year's Day off a mark of 138. So it's an improving horse, and you know, you'd have to say after the last run there was plenty left in the bonnet. I think was only pushed out that day to beat a horse of Scoutons. Cobden keeps the ride. So that would probably be my each way play in the race at 7s. But yeah, I think the favourite might be hard to beat here at 11 to 8. But it would only go in roll up, so I wouldn't be having a big enough single on it.
Well, that would depend on how the 2-2s on shots before go, surely. It makes for a nice treble, doesn't it? Impose Trois, Grey Dawning, Sir Gino. That probably pays about 7 to 2, 4 to 1. That tickle your fancy?
Yeah, and you could also throw in Man City as well tonight as they're 1-0 down to a Norwegian side.
Yeah, fuck off.
They actually.
So we've so we're recording this.
Hang on, what can we get the message up from before about the 4 to 11 cut?
We're recording this podcast, folks, as City are playing because we're in the North Pole tonight, and I've been watching. We should have had a penalty about 3 minutes ago for a fucking hand, but apparently you can just hand the ball. You just do that now and get a handball. That's why I was flailing my arms around. We're now losing to Bodo Glimt What was that? Right, where are we on this podcast, Matty?
I wonder which Premier League player you're going to spend 100 million on this week, considering you lose another game, you lose a game, spend 100 million, and that fixes all your problems, apparently.
That's ironic from a team who's been in FFP problems for the last 5 years. But anyways, give me a tip for the Pretemps Cleeve Hurdle, please.
115 charges, but yeah. Yeah, tricky one. I like the French horse, to be fair, but just the time off really does put me off this horse. The French actually took this race a couple of years ago. Gold Tweet, different connections, but they are capable of bringing one over to win this. So wouldn't rule him out slightly. I mean, they wouldn't be coming over if they didn't have him, 100% fully tuned up. I think again the favourite's just a bit too short for me to be backing. I think he's a good horse, but improving. It's tricky. I thought you could potentially chuck in Gal Road for a place finish if you were to get.
I love that.
A decent price. He always runs a good race at Cheltenham. Even if he was to come top 3, you might get a decent enough price. He's 14-1 at the moment, so you have to wait and see what the place markets open up like. So yeah, for Gal Road, I'll put him up as a kind of a place bet, and I'll keep an eye on the. Oh my God, is it 2?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's 2. 4-11. 4-11, wasn't it?
Keep going.
Oh, the bloke's got a brace, hasn't he?
What's his part-time job? Works in the local supermarket, I'd imagine.
I've completely lost this podcast now.
Gal Road in the place market, and if there's big market support for the French horse, I might end up backing it. He's rated, actually the highest rated in this field, getting weight off the top 2 rivals in the market. Obviously a very talented horse. I'll be probably looking to some of the French racing experts over on Twitter, and there's a few on podcasts I listen to, and see what their thoughts are of that horse. And if there's confidence behind this horse, I wouldn't rule him out. It's just a very long layoff to defy.
Well, as your mum would have said to you when you were younger, you can't have pizza from Domino's because you've got one at home. You don't need to look for French racing experts anywhere other than myself, Matty.
Can't have pizza because you have to take out your mortgage these days.
Yeah, true. 26 quid is it I've seen on Domino's.
Oh.
Anyways, before I do completely collapse this podcast, I want to mention Theleme because I'm really, really excited to see his return. He's a 2-time champion, a 2-time Stayers Hurdle winner in France. Has already racked up, I think, 1.1 million in prize money over there. And obviously, it's been well alluded there. He's been off the track for 805 days. He was, in 2024, the favourite, the long time favourite to win the Stayers Hurdle around the 5-1 market before anything else had ran. Tia Hooper won it that year, of course. And I was gutted when he went out. And the one thing I've been reading into quite a bit this week is that the layoff's intentional. They kept him out of the 25 season with the intention of getting back to either the French champion again at Auteuil or to come here to finally get things off. So this isn't like another Hadex de Zobo where a horse has had 700 days off and I'm just having a crack. This has been plotted for a very long time by his French trainers, and I'm very excited. The money's already coming for him. If he's able to replicate what he's proven in France already in a division that hasn't got a complete lock at the top other than probably Tia Hooper, we are looking at, he's 20-1 for the Stayers now. That might even be worth a crack as well. If he turns up here and he can put Impulse to our way. I look at the rest of the market. I've always been a big Doddy the Great fan, and I may well have an each way crack on that as well at 8. But you're then looking at horses that have already kind of not gone over the hill, but Cotty said it strongly. He doesn't like it here. Machantu, pretty decent, but whether it's good enough to win these grade 2s, I don't know. Then you're into the likes of Gal Road and others. It's just very difficult to kind of, back any of them these days. So I'm quite keen on the idea that Theleme can come back and win well. So very excited to see that horse come out at the end of the weekend. And that is, with a bit of inclusion of Manchester City, the end of the Big 5 races. Nap of the week time then. We have got Cotty going for his 9th. I repeat, 9th in a row. Mine was a non-runner last week. She's been saved for the DRF, so not could have done about that. I don't even know if Jade DeGruge won that race in the end, but no Carla Conti, no problem. Back onto new naps for this week, and I'm just going to keep mine simple. I just mentioned plenty about him. I'm so excited to see this Theleme back. Over from France, looking to build on an already established career, 3-1. Take what you like about that. Cotty, number 9 is going to be...
Yeah, Jaguar at Cheltenham for me. Already touched base on the race already, but yeah, I think 7-4 is a good opportunity when I can put a line, well not a line, but a pencil line through the second favourite at 4-1. I don't like the 4th favourite at 10-1. So yeah, I think 7-4 is fair enough. I wouldn't want to see any bigger on the day. I'd rather see it get backed in. So the market confidence is normally speaks volumes for these connections. So yeah, if I get to the hill on Saturday and it's 5-2, then I'll be questioning myself. But no, I think 7-4 is a fair enough price, and hopefully money can continue throughout the week.
Puts you in real dire straits, that doesn't it, Matty, when we've both taken him on, but he's going for 9 in a row, and it just makes you think, we should just get on, shouldn't we, because Cotty likes him. Jaguar there for you then in the handicap at Cheltenham. That's 2 from Cheltenham. Matty's going where for his nap of the week?
Weatherby on Thursday for me. Ben Paul and Ben Jones. You won't go far wrong following them. Normally on the weekends, to be fair, but they do all right in the week as well. Starmount in the second race, 12.50. Looks to have probably one competitor against to beat Kaka's cousin for John Droney. I just thought that won a pretty poor race at Catterick last time. Did win it well, but I think he'll have to step up. Starmount comes in here on the back of a disappointing run in the Grade 1 Formby at Aintree. Probably didn't help having the hurdles out that day. But no, this horse has got good form. Won a novice over course and distance earlier on in the season in December. Won night impressively. Just think they're probably bringing him back into a lesser race, get another win next to his name, and then probably on to bigger and better things for him. Actually, probably back into a graded novice after this. But yeah, Starmount for me at Weatherby on Thursday.
They are on fire at the minute. Ben Pauling and Ben Jones seem to be picking up. It was like the Skelton Saturdays we had a few seasons ago. It's the Pauling Saturdays at the minute. One from you in the week there at Weatherby to round off our nap of the week selections. Cheltenham in the books then, folks. We've got fantastic racing coming this Saturday, an 8-race card. I mean, what a way to lose your paycheck a day after you get paid, Cotty. I mean, there's nothing like 8 races. It's going to be 9. I mean, it looks brilliantly set up. We've got a really good weekend's racing, so I don't need to ask you where you're going to be at the weekend because you will be at Cheltenham. No doubt looking forward to it. We had the line last week. We had the 10-11 line. Yes, no. Will he touch a Guinness? Has there been any movement on that line?
No, didn't crumble at Ascot and still going strong. So that 10-11's probably out to 2s, to be honest. Luckily, payday isn't till Monday, so any money lost, the bank will look a bit alfy 48 hours later. But no, looking forward to it. Charles Day. Don't think I did too great at this meeting last year, so looking to make amends this time round. And if you can get 3 or 4 on the board, if you get the right 3 or 4, then should be quids in really.
2-1 about Cotty having a Guinness on Saturday. Load your banks up, folks. Matty, not with us, unfortunately, it's Saturday. Different plans. Villa would be back home, wouldn't they? I don't know. Do you do many home games?
No, we're playing on Sunday, to be fair. No. Newcastle away. Did contemplate it, but no, that's too much travelling on a holy day. So, no, just trying to save the pennies up at the moment. Got a bit of a trip in, trying to plan at the moment for in a few weeks' time. So, just trying to save up. But we'll be following from home, no doubt. And I think, obviously you'd love to be at Cheltenham all the time, but watching it from home gives you a complete different perspective. And, you know, I think it's just as good watching from home. You get to, you know, I love listening to all the interviews and, you know, beforehand and after, which you don't always get to hear when you're at the track. So has its pros and cons, but yeah, I'm sure you boys will have a great day and hopefully plenty of winners.
Yeah, my mum takes the piss out of me for this. So when I get back, not necessarily in the night, because if I've got work like I do this Saturday night, I won't do it. But I re-watch ITV racing after I've been to a
I've been known to do the same before, especially when I used to lead the horses up. You don't get to catch a lot of the coverage, and I do always think it's so insightful hearing, you know, what trainers say before and after races and what actually happened. I think the best thing ITV ever brought in was the jockey interviews post race where they ask them. I think they're superb, and especially from a punting perspective, you get to analyze. You know, you think your horse hasn't won for one reason, and then, you know, little did you know that, you know, the jockey heard something out, you know, he's felt it differently. So I think that was brilliant. I think they should do it for every race on, you know, even in the week. But yeah, there we are.
Yeah, it's a marvellous incentive. Mum still thinks her second born's got a touch of autism for what I do, but I'm going to stand my ground and say that is the right thing to do. Go to the races, come back, watch the races again. And that's exactly what I'm looking forward to doing on Saturday. I'll be with Cotty up the hill, looking forward to a fantastic trials day, and we'll be back next week to review the best of that. It's going to be a long one because we've also got the Dublin Racing Festival, the first of the big 4 spring festivals, to take you through next year. We're going to see so many massive horses, hopefully Kopek de Board, Galopin de Champ, Factor File. They will all be back out in big stretches. I know the way you're thinking the Gold Cup champion from last year. We're going to have it all for you next week, folks. Thank you for joining us. If any of you are going to Cheltenham, hope you have a fantastic day, or like Matt, you're going to watch it on the telly as well. Some great races to take you through, and hopefully you all enjoy it. Thank you for joining us, folks, and we'll be back next week for the DRF.